In 1952, the Aluminum Company of Canada came into north central British Columbia, and they secured a series of permits and licenses and legislative authority to dam the upper Nechako River. The Chislata people were forced to move from their homelands over a period of 3 weeks and were evicted from their homelands. They were promised all kinds of things. When the people left, the contractors were hired to go down and burn all the villages and remove any vestige of Chislata existence. They became refugees overnight. They were left to their own resources up here. There was no opportunity for trapping, which sustained the people, and hunting because of all the trap lines were flooded. And people they were lost, completely lost. So Chislata came very, very close to being eliminated off the face of the earth.
Getting the control back was, it was historical in the context of finally we can go back to our traditional territory, and finally we can start using the traditional lands to start building our economic base again, because of course you know that forestry isn't here forever. We need to diversify, and we need to find creative ways to have an economic base. And it felt like a relief, like it was a big sigh of wow, it's finally here. We finally got it back, and now we can finally move on.
The homeland of the Chislata, the heart of the Chislata territory, is around Chislata Lake, which is now, of course, the core of the Chislata Community Forest.
Community forest, as far as Chislata people goes, gave us back our sense of pride as people living on the land. It gave us the ability to have ownership as far as development, economic diversity. It also gave our First Nations people the ability to work with the non-First Nations community in our area and do joint venture projects, which erase a whole bunch of issues that have been going on for centuries. Racism, the ability to know who each other was, and the ability to help each other in hard economic times. So the community forest has been more than just a forest license to us.
The majority of this wood comes from the Chislata's community forest. Between the Chislata Community Forest and Chislata Forest Products, the sawmill, between the two, it's provided year-round employment. It was funny, when I first started working with Chislata, they were more concerned about putting people to work than the profit. That, you know, they don't look at the dollar figure. It's how many people are working, whether they're happy, and
so we have, I would say, a unique initiative that most other forest products companies don't have, which is we actually do involve directly as shareholders the local community, the local First Nation, as well as the industrial partner. So I think that's a unique thing that the Canfors and the West Frasers of the world don't necessarily get to enjoy.
Community and multinationals don't go together. When a multinational for the last 30 years here makes a buck off the forest, maybe 60 cents of that stays in the community through payroll, goods and services. The profits from a community forest stay in the community, which makes people healthier, makes people wealthier, it keeps people working, paying taxes. The management is more secure. The fact that your backyard is being managed locally, not by some foreign-owned company.
COMFOR is more than forest tenure to us because it gives us back the sense of who we are as Chislata Den people. It gives us an economic opportunity.
I've been here with Chislata for 10 years. And we went from having 15% of the people employed to now, we've reached as high as 85% of the people working in the community, which is important. And hopefully we can maintain that and carry on even through these tough times.
The key thing I see from the community forest is that we get a lot of smaller operators that typically wouldn't have access to that same job, and then that timber stays local, is produced here locally, and then those benefits stay in the community. That's probably the biggest positive I can see for that whole Chislata Carrier Nation community forest.
So many people also are afraid, well, if we put too much pressure on a multinational, they're going to pull out and we're going to be stuck. Well, don't believe that. We can manage our land base and our destiny much better than a third party can.
And I see a really exciting time right now where we have children gathering here on this spot, where we're teaching them how to hunt, how to gather. We're finding more and more of the middle generation like myself is getting back into their culture and finding out who they are as people and how our connection to the land is so vital to our survival as people.
Chislata is not going anywhere. The multinational morphs in, they get taken over, they go broke, or they move operations to Russia or China. People know that Chislata and the community forest is going to be here forever.
Especially in our economic times right now, we're really concentrating on gathering of food, the natural way of life, and we're trying to teach that to our children. So it's a huge factor in who we are and our survival of the devastation of the 1952 flood. Chislata's coming back around.
The Chislata Carrier Nation Community Forest really fits well with the partnership agreements with Chislata Forest Products, and it has provided us with fair value and fair access to timber that we otherwise wouldn't be able to access.
And there's other values in the wood than just the fiber, and that's one thing I've learned working with Chislata, is they tend to think of everything, and I often miss things that they remind me of. And I just think that every First Nation in BC and over Canada should have a community forest. It's, I think it's the way that our resources should be managed. You know that they're doing a good job.
If Chislata can dream and for 50 years and struggle and achieve their goals, other communities can do it that have far more capacity and resources than we did.
I always say we're like weeds, you can't get rid of us. We're here and we're going to hang on. And for any other First Nations community out there that really needs to have a little bit of advice, because I know there's other communities that have gone through this devastation, is hang on and have faith in your people, because the people will ultimately be the ones that'll bring you back up as a leader. So just hang in there and remain optimistic that any of the bad things that have been done to us as First Nations people, it's up to us to fix, and we can do it. We have hope in each other and faith.
Once you respect what the land and the animals, and you have respect for each other, then you survive. If you don't have that respect, then you don't survive.
More and more success stories with community forest are going to obligate the government. They're going to empower communities big and small to achieve the same result of taking back control of our own destiny. Taking control back from the land that was given away without our consent. Not just from the Indian side, but from a resident and a taxpayer, and as somebody that's going to live here a long, long time. You can take it back.